I'm Jessica Pelkey. I'm going to be your mentor that's going to kind of walk you through a little bit this webinar about using PPA as an assessment. So in this, you're going to be watching different role plays to notice abilities, to notice what's happening and look at why it's happening and what are we surmising about the person's abilities and how is PPA supportive and adapted based on the person's abilities. So to start off, Teepa is going to take us through an introduction and then get going into various gems.
This is a great way that you can watch me both demonstrate the gem state, demonstrate positive physical approach, but also demonstrate how you can help people gain skills without using the word wrong, no, that's not it, and instead take what she does get and what she doesn't get and get better. And that's really what we're all about. So today we're going to focus on using your approach and what you see and hear and figure out as you're doing it to do a better job of determining gem state, figuring out some personality traits, maybe noticing some preferences, and picking up also on the possibility that there's a need there that's driving some of this. And in order to do that, we're going to do some role plays. And before we do the role plays, what I'm going to do is share my screen and have you take a look at some of the elements of using your PPA as an assessment tool. And as I said, I want you to be thinking as we go through this, what's the gem state? What are the personality traits you're noticing? What preferences are you picking up on? And what cues is the person who's approaching using that are effective or maybe not so effective? And the reason we're going to do all this essentially is because by doing it, we're figuring out what's happening, why it's happening, what does it mean for the interaction and the potential outcome, and what could I try? Given what I figured out, what could I try to make this work, make it better, change what I'm doing, modify what's going on? And I can only do that if I'm really paying careful attention as I'm doing it. So here's the beliefs, and y'all know these, but I just want to say it again. The person living with dementia is using what's working for them in that moment. So in that moment, that's what they got. May not be what they typically have. That's why it's called dynamic. You can never assume what they did 5 minutes ago is going to be what they're going to do this time. You can't assume that the last interaction is going to guide and direct this one. You can get the flavor, but you don't know what ice cream's on the cone. As a care partner, I'm going to use my abilities to pick up on what are they showing me, what are they telling me, what are they doing or not doing that gives me hints and clues as to what they are, where they are, what they're thinking, what they like, what they don't like, what they might want or need, so I can do a better job. In other words, I'm really learning to dance with this partner I've been given, and it takes practice. And at the start, the person with dementia always takes the lead. Our job is to find the rhythm that they're moving with so that we can do the dance in the moment. And it would be good if I could spell that right, but I'm sure you can read it right even without the C. I'll try to correct it later. So let's start with your PPA. And you all know the PPA, I'm sure, which is 6 feet out, you pause, you gesture, you greet by name, you offer your hand, you make eye contact, approach within visual range, you shake hands, maintain a hand under hand, move to the side, get to eye level, respect intimate space, and wait for their acknowledgement. That's the guidelines. Those are like the rules of the road that you operate with. But the reality is you're going to need to assess in the moment what's working and what's not. And a lot of it starts with who starts the interaction. Because in this case, what I've laid out here, it's assuming that the approacher is starting the interaction. So we'll start on that side of it, but then during the day, we're going to actually switch off and let the person with dementia, living with dementia, is going to start the interaction. So you got to get ready fast because they're moving, they're grooving, they got a message to send. and they don't respect the rules of PPA. So you've got to pick up where they are pretty quick, or they get too close, they do too much, your anxiety goes up and you can't think. So we'll start with you being in control because they're seated, they're stable, they haven't noticed you, and you get them to notice you. So you get to be in charge of the whole approach. Everybody's favorite. So what I'm going to do now is just one more time show you the picture so we recall the reason we're working so hard is because their brain is not always working the way we want it to. But in column 3, even in column 3, there's a lot of light blue. And light blue means the engine's on, but they can't get it in gear. The engine's on and they can't shift gears unless they get the right support. So that brain is not dead, it's damaged. And that's critically important that we keep it in mind because it means I can use what they've got if I figure out how to support what they've got. Same thing in column 2. It's yellow, it's not red, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work at all. It just means that I can trigger things in the wrong direction or I can support things in the right direction.
You're good.
All right, so we're going to do some role plays, and I'm going to do the approach for Abby, and Abby's going to be various gem states. And we're going to go through a bunch of them just really quickly, and I want you on a piece of paper or in your head to think, what gem do you think Abby is? What gem do you think she is? And then I'll trade places and I'll be the gems. And what I'm going to ask you to look for, in addition to what gem, is what evidence do you have that I was that gem or Abby was that gem? And as you're looking at one of us and then you're looking at the other of us, we'll come back to that because Abby's going to be doing the gems as a very new learner and I'll be doing the gems as a master. So as you're looking at that, realize I have a depth and a breadth of background that allows me to more get in the space and the place of someone who is living with that ability because I've experienced it so many times. Each person is unique, but I have history that I'm working with. And Abby's going to be doing the best she can, just like many of you do the best you can to see the other side when you haven't had very many people in your life that have allowed you to see what's going on. So let's go back to one of the scenarios and let's do it and then let's process it. Abby, hi. Hey, how are you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Get you some coffee.
You ready for coffee? Me too. I love coffee. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, so that's the second scenario, as I recall. So tell me a little bit about what you noticed about Abby during that scenario. What did you pick up on? Very quick response, very ready to go, very receptive, lots of verbal, lots of verbal. When I got down and she wanted me, what did she do? She got up right away and she recognized me right away. She used my name. And what did she do? Do this. She was all about the connection. She so wanted to connect to me. She was like, oh, I can't get close enough to you. So when she saw me and started to interact with me, she absolutely hugged me. But what kind of hug was it? It was a full frontal because I wasn't quick enough off the mark to realize, oh, she's going to go for a full frontal because she'd been sitting on her own, not making eye contact with me. And I misjudged thinking, okay, it's going to take her a while to warm up to me. So I got at the edge of space and you saw me, I got down and to the side a little bit and she was like, oh, good, a person. And as soon as she saw me, it was like suction cups. And so what I had to do is figure out how to slightly disengage her without making it feel like I didn't want to be with her. So in the middle of the PPA, I'm trying to figure out how to control the PPA a little bit. Because she was really needy. And in her need, it wasn't a physical need in that moment, it was an emotional need. So it turns out her response to my approach indicated that she wasn't angry, she wasn't sad, but she was lonely. And as soon as I showed up, she wanted a connection. So I have to be prepared for that. So what did you notice me doing? So Abby's here and I'm here and she's giving me all the hugging. So first of all, what I do is give her pressure, deep pressure on her chest. She really needs to feel the pressure so her brain goes, oh, she really likes me. She wants to be with me. And then once I did that, when I released the pressure, as soon as I got the pressure off, I went, yeah. And then I got that hand. And then I got over on her right side and I gave her lots of attention, but I got her out of my chest. So it's a really tricky thing. And what did you notice about my face as I was interacting with her? Lots of joyfulness and lots of wonderful being with you, even though inside my brain I was going, close, too close, really close, high intensity, gotta bring this down. But I can't let that show. So what I am is, and I've said this in a couple of sessions before, I'm a chameleon. So I take on some of the characteristics of the person, but then what I do is use that to make the relationship settle itself down a little bit. And the way to do that is I start where she is and then I help her come down because she got what she wanted, which was me. So what gem do you think? Just off the top, what do you think you got there? Lots of language, lots of interest, lots of excitement. Oh, we're jumping all over the place. You guys have all kinds of ideas. So I'm going to share the screen for just a second, and I'm going to show you a gem. Let's go through the gems real quick here. True blue, slower but fine on the sapphire. Diamonds, repeats, routines, can be cutting but can also shine. Emeralds on the go and time travel, they're not sure where. Ambers are in the moment, very sensation oriented and very busy with their hands and their mouths and that kind of fingers and feet. Rubies, stop and go, big movements. Pearls, hidden and immobile. So if we were to look at our diamonds, diamonds are people who tend to know who's in charge, respect authority, uses old habits and routines, a little more territorial or less aware of boundaries. They like the familiar. They can pull it together to make you look bad if you make them upset. They know how to push your buttons. They want to keep roles the same. They tend to tell stories over and over. Now, emeralds are different though. They have the overall look, the environment, you know, they want their environment to feel right, to look right. Their language is more vague. They probably might have a little more trouble with name recognition. They will tend to more repeat phrases rather than initiate phrases. Yes.
Sorry, I can't see your screen.
Oh, shoot. Oh, I forgot to hit the last thing, which was share screen. I'm sorry. I had shared screen, but not quite. So thank you, Corey. Always good to know that you don't do what you think you did. That was very diamond-like, but friendly. No, that was sapphire, so good job. So Abby, were you more trying to be a diamond or an emerald? An emerald. Mm-hmm. Okay, so pretty emerald-like. So she liked what she liked, and she liked a lot of contact, and she missed some of the cues that I gave, which is, that was a little close, that was a little intense. She was on her own time frame, on the go, really wanting to do something with somebody.
So the way we use our approach can either trigger a person to not be as skillful in their abilities, or we can really support people and help them to be able to shine. Now, this last role play was basically an emerald state. Green on the go with purpose, and emeralds are naturally flawed. So emeralds desire independence and crave connection. They have changes and abilities that are noticeable. They're making clear mistakes. Communication is more vague. They may be more repetitive with less depth to their conversation. They may neglect personal care routines and get lost in time and place. They have binocular vision, and they want people to be friendly with them, not bossy. They're on the go, but they need some guidance and structure in order to be successful. They tend to think they're fine. That's why it's so important to be friendly and not bossy, because they may not be aware of the ability changes that they're experiencing. They can get emotional really quickly. And again, they're not necessarily realizing their mistakes. They may be doing something over and over or skip something completely. So they like choices, may get lost in the past, in their past life, past places, past roles, and they need help. They just don't probably know it or even like it. But how do we help? Well, let's recognize, is it worth it for us to assert with our effort to help? We want to be subtle in our supervision and the support that we offer in care. We want to use lots of visual prompts to do, gestures, objects, setup, visual setup, that cues, samples, and showing. So we can hide something visually in order to stop or prevent. We can put things away or move them out of range or step back, leave, remove the thing that we don't want engagement with. We can use the environment to cue, to show. And we want to use normal humor, friendliness in our support.
Let's do another one of the gems that Abby did. Abby. Hey. 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 Yeah, it's Deepa. Deepa. And Abby. Abby. Yeah. Deepa. Yeah. Abby. Yeah. Deep. Oh, yeah. Ooh, ooh. Hey, Abby. Hey. Okay, pause. So let's talk about that one. What happened on that one? So speed, visuals, auditories. What did you notice first about speed? Let's just go to speed first. She fast or was she slow? Slow. So slow. So did she notice me at all, even at the edge of her personal to public space? Was there any visual acknowledgement of feet, of anything? No. When did she notice me? What got her to notice me? I took my hand and I moved my fingers a little bit in what would be her very center of vision. So I had to figure out, where is she looking? What is she looking at? How can I enter in? And notice I did it down really low, greater than arm's length from her eyes. So her brain knew, I'm not trying to touch you. I'm not moving towards you. I'm just showing you something. I'm showing you something that's wiggling a little bit. And what did you notice Abby did when she saw it? What was her next thing that she did? She tried to touch it. And when she touched it, did she just touch it and go, oh, look, it's a hand, and immediately go into a handshake? Or did she sort of look at it and explore it and look at things and then travel up what it was attached to and pausing at things that she found along the way, and then finally arriving at my face to go, oh, look, it's a person. So when did I give the cue? Well, hey there. Was it immediately when she took my hand, or was it as I noticed her exploring and realizing, look, it's a bigger, ta-da. So it was the eye contact with me. I knew she was looking at my face. That's when I delivered a verbal message. So the PPA in this sense is that there was a real delay on the greet, because the greet for her was an object. I had to take her from object task to a person, and that's when the greeting can happen. Anything I do before that is going to interfere with her, not support her. It's going to distract her, it's going to confuse her, because she has to understand this, figure this out, travel up this to find this, to realize this is going to talk. This is going to say words. And then I said, Abby, and she said, what? Abby. She simply repeated what I said. And I said, Tipa, and she goes, Tipa. And then when I said, Abby, did you see something? Did you notice? She actually got, oh yeah, that's my name. That's when it clicked for her, and she did a little visual cue that we picked up, oh, she's talking to me, the person. And that's when we actually connected as human beings. Until that point, I was an interesting thing in the environment, but until she got name, click, I can't move forward with her in any kind of dance because we aren't partners yet. I'm something, but I'm not a partner yet. And so that's when I was able to assess the rest of Abby to see what we were going to do. Now, I'd actually done some assessment before, and I know it's hard to see because of the positioning of the chair, but what do you notice about Abby's feet when she was sitting there? Did you notice something about where her feet were? They were,
I noticed that when you asked her to stand up, well, the first time when she did that, she almost fell out of a chair because she wasn't positioned right.
Yeah, so what had happened is she had pulled her feet back over underneath her. And so she just had the pads of her balls of her feet down. And so what was happening was when she went to go forward, she didn't have a solid base of support. So what I did then is recognize, ooh, we need to get those feet forward so she's going to be able to get up. Now, what sound did you hear me make? Because I didn't say words, I made a sound.
A big old groan.
Oh. So again, if she's been sitting there a while and she goes to move, I want her to know that I know she's going to be stiff. So that goes to the other unmet needs. So what might be a reality if she's been sitting still for a while and I start to help her move? She's either going to be uncomfortable or she's going to be in pain. And if that's going to happen, I want to let her know I know that. So I'm going to be real careful and real supportive so that she doesn't think I'm trying to hurt her. I'm trying to support her and acknowledge the discomfort, but we're together. It'll be okay if we're together because we're both in the same boat. And that makes it more reasonable for her to get going and come with me. So the verbal cues were there, but they weren't word cues as frequently. And when I gave them, there was a lot of repeating of them, but there were huge numbers of visual cues that were being given. Lots of support.
So this last role play was based on rubies, deep and strong, and oftentimes where other people see what's not possible or stop seeing what's possible. So with rubies, they have big, repetitive, strong movements, gross motor. They also have rhythm. They can sing and hum and pray and sway and maybe even dance. There may be exaggerated facial expressions. They can definitely react and pick up on emotion in tone of voice. Limited skill in mouth and eyes and fingers and feet, as in pivoting, backing up, not necessarily possible. They can mimic or copy big actions and motions. Again, monocular vision. So, what does that mean for depth perception? Not happening. Balance and coordination are very limited, and the person's most basic needs will need to be monitored and supported. Fine motor stops for Ruby. It's hard to go from being on the move to stopping. It's hard to go from stopping to getting going again. There's that limited visual awareness that comes from monocular vision. They're really only able to go forward, not able to figure out details, but can copy, very slow to change and shift. Sometimes on the go, or sometimes full stop. Music and rhythm are things that we can use and pull in. So how do we help a Ruby when we notice these abilities? Slow down ourselves. Use hand under hand to support and be the skill. Move with first, then guide. Learn about the person's patterns of needs. Again, using that music and rhythm to help get moving or to stop movement. Using supportive touch cues with care. And combine cueing and do together. Do it slowly. See what you can pull in terms of assessing and supporting the Rubies that you work with.
So now we're going to try another one. Ready? Abby?
Okay, hey, it's about time you got here.
Ooh, about time. I'm late.
I've been needing some coffee. I have to go to the
Oh my
bathroom.
God, all that stuff, and I keep
I
coming in
am
my
so-
room and I'm trying to sleep.
I am so sorry. Yeah, Abby, I apologize. Thank you.
Yeah, I should have been here before, I guess. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what?
Some help.
You need some help, and I apologize. That shouldn't have happened. Tell you what, so you need to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And you were wanting some coffee.
Some coffee.
Bathroom first, coffee second?
Yeah, yeah. bathroom
Okay,
first,
tell you
coffee
what,
second.
let's go get you going then.
All right,
Come on.
come on.
All right. Okay. Well, that was a little different than what she'd done before, but apparently she needed coffee and she might need to go to the bathroom, but we're not going right now. So let's talk about that one. So what did you see on that one? Oh, somebody was asking on the last one. What was the last one? The last one was, Abby, what were you being on the last one? Ruby with a little bit of amber. Mostly Ruby with a little bit of amber. She was looking at stuff, but she didn't show me a whole lot of finger skill. And when we got over here, I believe I had to, whatever. because she was going for things I didn't want her messing with. This last one. So yeah, Sid, you're right. Cutting, sharp, a little, I come to the door and it's like, whoa, oh, ouch. She was not a happy woman. Something was not suiting her. And she saw me and boom, right on up she went. So how did I start my PPA? Did I approach quickly? Did I try to get her to understand I just got here? Did I try to get her to appreciate, oh, well, I'll be happy to take you to the bathroom right away? No, because I can't do those help behaviors until we're connected. And right now, if I try to connect, I'm more likely to get more cutting and more frustration until I get that dealt with. So I was sort of hesitant on my approach. Somebody was right there. So I came in, I offered my hand. Did she take it? Nope, so I put it away. What did I do that signaled you are the queen, you are the boss, you are in charge, and I am sorry? I got down. I got down low and I offered her power of position. I turned myself to the side. And for her, was she wanting eye contact or not wanting eye contact? Were you wanting it or not wanting it? She wanted me to admit I was wrong and I had made a mistake and it needed to be fixed right away. So if I had looked away from her, she would have seen it as me not listening to her. So I needed to make that eye contact and I needed to look happy or concerned.
Happy.
I needed to be really concerned. That happened? So I want everybody whose face is on the screen to show me super concerned faces. I want to see more head movement. You need to show me some, not just some facials. There needs to be, oh no. Oh, now I want you to show me some give me some sounds that you're really, oh,
No.
what? No, that's ridiculous. Oh, you are kidding me. Now, that seems really extreme as we're just peering at each other in the computer. But in real life, somebody who isn't paying that much attention because they're so distressed, emphasize a little bit more than you think you need to. And you've got to look authentic, but be willing to show more with your face and your body movements than you think you need to, because they don't pick up on subtleties, because in that moment, their visual is very, very limited. So what we're going to want to do, I think somebody might have accidentally done something they didn't mean to. Would be my best guess. Could be wrong. So what did I do to support Abby in speech when she said things hadn't happened that she wanted? So I first repeated and then I apologized. So that nobody is coming, you've got to go, nobody came in here, you didn't get to you need to get the bathroom, you need to get some coffee, and none of that has happened. Oh, I am so sorry that I apologize. I didn't even know. It's terrible, awful. It shouldn't be happening. So what's happening there is she actually gets an opportunity to feel validated, to be empathized with. Whatever she's feeling, it's maybe totally illegitimate. Somebody just left and asked if she wanted coffee and she said no. And then a few seconds later, her brain said, well, where's my coffee? Because what happened is when they said, do you want coffee? Her brain said no, but in fact, her amygdala went, yeah, you're wrong. I'd like coffee. And then they realized they don't have coffee. And then they realized coffee, pee. the connection in their brain is coffee, pee, coffee, pee. So now all of a sudden, not only does she want coffee, she has to pee because she has coffee, but she needs coffee. Whose fault is it? Well, not hers. Nobody's been in here. And what her brain totally forgot, immediate recall, is that what brought this all on was somebody was in here and they asked her if she wanted to go get some coffee, but she didn't want to go with them. So therefore, now it's my fault that she has to pee and can't find coffee and no one has been in here in hours. So does it matter that the reality is not the right reality? Does it really matter at all? Am I going to make this better by pointing out, well, Teepa, Mary just asked you if you wanted coffee and you said no. I mean, I can't read your mind. You I was like, yeah. So what, Jen? What do you think?
Before you do that,
Oh, good.
Colleen had a really good question.
Sure.
Does apologizing impact her perception of other helpers? So what
Really
do you
good question.
apologize about?
Yeah. So would it help? So what I want to do is when I do the apology, I am sorry that happened. That shouldn't be happening. So don't be surprised if when she sees the person who came in the first time, she doesn't say, you shouldn't have done that. Teepa said that. It's like, oops. So now what I've got to do is what? Because I'll guarantee you my helper friend who just tried to go in there and get her to go get coffee is not going to view this as a pleasant experience because, so what, Teepa, you're sabotaging me? So what do I need to recognize in that moment is happening for my partner? More than likely, they're being a diamond. They're going to go diamond in that moment because it's like, wait a minute, I just went in there and asked her if she wanted coffee. And now you're saying that she's right and I'm wrong. And it's like, I am sorry. So can I do it in front of Abby though? Can I apologize for it in front of Abby? Absolutely not. What I might want to do is do a little timeout kind of subtle signal, and I'll talk to you later. We may want to work out a little bit of code. So later on I can go, Manda, I am so sorry. When I got in there, she was fired up. Tell me what happened when you went in, because I'm going to bet what she thought happened isn't what you experienced at all. But when I got in there, she was mad. She hadn't had coffee. She needed to pee. What actually happened when you went in? Now, let me say again, what do you see in my face and what do you hear in my voice? Same skills. This isn't magic about dementia. It's because I recognize in that moment, my person is feeling defensive. They're feeling under pressure. They're feeling they aren't being treated fairly. They feel like somebody is disrespecting them. And unless I respond to that in a positive, affirming way that meets their need, all I'm going to do is escalate another situation, which is why early in the disease, so many families fall apart and are not able to work with each other because people have a hard time saying sapphire in those moments where mom says, well, that's not what happened. That's what she said happened. Well, how can I trust you? Mom doesn't lie. I do not understand why you, and then we start getting defensive rather than being curious about, so mom's saying that, and that's not your experience. Talk to me about what your experience was. But it really takes me pulling back from that moment of like, hey, listen, I fixed it. Which is that sort of like, guys, I'm trying to help. But me saying, listen, I'm trying to help isn't helpful. And it's hard to remember. So as I've alluded to, Abby was being a diamond, a pretty angry diamond. For no good reason, no.
Jessica again. In this interaction, we saw a clear and sharp diamond where routines and rituals rule and not really as flexible and able to roll with things anymore. Diamonds prefer things to be familiar and they may resist change or won't let things go. They can be rigid under pressure and have a limited perspective, becoming protective or territorial. They can repeat themselves as it's hard to integrate new information. We're looking at tunnel vision or scuba vision for our folks who are in a diamond state. Now, diamonds can cover mistakes in a social interaction quite easily. It may or may not be dementia related, this diamond state. So, how do we help diamonds? Apologize. Our apology isn't necessarily an admission of guilt, it's just a recognition. I am sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel a certain way. I didn't mean to fill in the blank. It's got to look genuine, though. You got to be friendly and not bossy. It's got to be leader to leader. Change your language. Let's try. Share responsibility. Do not try to take over. Use as many old habits as possible. And give up being right and just go with the flow. Give other job when taking another away. So substitute where possible. All right. Assessing and noticing those abilities for our diamond folks and recognizing, who might our diamonds be? Because it's not always the people living with dementia around us that are in those diamond states. Who else might you assess as a diamond and support in the ways that we've seen and in the ways listed here?
All right, so let's work on one more, and then I'm going to switch places and have Abby try to approach me. Only I'll be up on the move. Panic set in. I saw diamond behavior just a second ago, but it's all okay. All right, so we'll let her do one more. Abby. Hey. 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 Tifa. Hey. Tifa. 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 Abby. Abby and Tifa.
Yeah, Abby and Tifa. Yeah, you're good. That's good. Ooh, hey, Abby and Tifa. Look here. Oh, you like those. Do you like those? Those are pretty. You like those? Those are very nice. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, look here. Oh, coffee. 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 Here, tell you what. Feet down. There you go. Lean up. There you go. There you go. Good. We're gonna go right. Look here. That red. Little coffee. Yeah, you got some coffee. Yes.
Okay. All right, so what did you notice that time about Abby? And again, my approach, her reactions. My approach, her reactions. What did you notice? What'd you see? What'd you hear? What was the experience like for you? Rachel, I see you doing it. A lot more finger activity and hand activity once she recognized I was coming and there was something there to fiddle with. At the first, somebody else I noticed is saying on the chat, very slow to respond. So was she present with me and present in this space and in this time and in this situation when I first appeared? Do you think she was aware of here, now, where? She was somewhere else. Her brain had her more in herself than aware of the world around her. She was not really using her eyes to take in external data. She was more than likely viewing scenes or bits or pieces of something somewhere else. And you could see that. How could you see it? What did you notice auditorily or through movement in her eyes that might lead you to believe she was not here and now when I first approached and appeared? She stared into space. So even though I was present, there was not eye contact. So her visual gaze did not encounter me as an object. It was just, she was gazing. Was she talking? Was she moving? No. So she was still in her body because her brain was not using the connections to the body to take in data, which means unless she was asleep, which it didn't look like she was asleep. It was not a sleep state. It wasn't REM sleep. It wasn't unconsciousness. It means she's doing something, but the something she's doing is inside her brain. And I've got to take what she's doing in here and get her to stop doing that and transition it to doing something with her body outside. So we're going to have to slow way down and be careful that we don't startle her, because if we startle her, then she comes to awareness with risky or dangerous alert level, because she didn't know we were there and her sense of distress could get really high really fast. So I want to preserve the distance and the space. And what did you notice about my voice? It was low and it was easy, and I'm not trying to, so I don't want to go, Abby, Abby, hey, Abby, good morning, Abby, Abby, sweetheart, Abby, it's Teepa, Abby, yeah, most of you want to slap me. And the problem is, if I do that kind of thing, then I could very well bring her out of where she is, but not in a friendly way. So it's got to be a real slow go. And the problem is, if I have a task in mind, if I have something I want to get going on, this is the hardest moment to remember to be the chameleon, to remember that I can't do what she can't get. So I've got to get myself really backed off of that idea so that I find her, she finds me, we connect, and only then can something positive happen. So when I got close, somebody picked up on it. I got close and her gaze went off me as a human being, and what was in the center of her field of vision apparently was this earring. And I had her dominant hand, but the other hand, do this with your fingers. Yeah, I want you to be real aware she still had manipulative skill. Do this. She's going to be real good at taking things apart, tearing things apart, pulling things apart, fiddling with things, but she has strength. She has just enough skill to be incredibly dangerous to objects, to people, to situations. And so this earring happens to be hanging in a small hole in my ear. And because she was starting to be really interested in it, my goal was to like, yeah, here, it's all yours. Now, I do want to be thoughtful that now if she thinks it's a piece of candy, it might go in her mouth. But I was tuned into that. I didn't panic, but I was tuned into it. And I then immediately tried to get her by using my gesture to direct the gaze off the earring. But what do you think one of the most common behaviors is that gets people in big trouble when the person notices the earring or the necklace? What do you think they try to do? Oh, Abby, honey, don't, please don't, Abby. Whoa, 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 Abby, that's, ow, Abby, ow, you're hurting, Abby, please, oh God, let go, Abby. Now, if I'm in intimate space and I do that, and Abby doesn't understand why all of a sudden I've turned so mean, what could happen? Number one, I could have a big hole in my ear rather than the little bitty hole I have where you can put the earring in. There'll be a nice long slit. Or she might actually take the hand I'm not engaged with, and it has strength and it has power. And she might nail me, or she might grab me, or she might now pull away from me and fall. None of those things needed to happen. They happened because of my reaction to her behavior. And instead of picking up on, ooh, she's an amber. This is an amber state. She's very curious. She's all about sensation. I missed it because when she was amber inside herself, she was obviously having some experiences and sensations I was unaware of. As soon as she came out, she started using her body for sensation. And you heard it with her mouth, and you saw it with her fingers and her eyes, and whatever's within arm's reach is now within the danger zone. So I've got to be tuned into that for right now, but also thinking about it in future. Before I go into Abby's space, I go ahead and remove things that I know are going to attract her attention and potentially get me in a situation that makes me anxious or nervous, because trying to keep up with Abby is plenty. I don't need to be having to watch what I've got on me. So this is that time where, when I've experienced Abby a couple times, I start to realize this is Abby. So I need to prepare myself before I PPA so that we have a successful interaction rather than a seriously dangerous, stressful, every time I turn around, what's she going to do next? I might actually even pull the hair back. I might, however, have several things with me that I can pull off, whip off, and hand to her that I know are fine for her to have, and actually might meet some of that need of pulling, of tearing, of ripping. Because if I want her to not be in herself and I want her to come out and be with me, I've got to present her with things that she's going to be interested in enough to come out and do. Otherwise, why bother? Just stay where I'm at, because you guys often cause me a lot of distress because you want to do things that I don't like. So, all right. So I'm going to pause for just a second to have everybody think about what you've gotten out of what we've done so far, about using this PPA as a dynamic process. And maybe even notice how far off the script of PPA, the formal script, we were, and yet we weren't really. So think for a few seconds about what you're learning about the PPA phenomena and the gems. And then Abby's going to get a chance to play with me.
Hi, Jessica again. This time we saw an amber caught in a moment of time. Ooh, in a traffic light sequence. Yellow means caution. Caution is required. And why is that? Because our ambers are really focused on sensation. So they're caught in this moment, and what is driving them in this moment is the sensation. Their tolerance or their need is based on their sensory experience. They're reacting to those sensory events. They're not socially aware. They're lacking safety awareness, which means with their lack of social awareness and safety awareness, they can intrude and they can collect. Difficulty understanding and expressing their own needs. And they're losing object for use recognition. So they need support and help with tasks, but they may resist because if it's not the right sensory match, look out. I'm not really into it. So monitoring and staying connected can really be a challenge. Ambers can really get into stuff. They're skilled enough to get about and get into things. They can fiddle and mess with and touch and taste and dig and tear and fold. And they move toward action and noise if that's what they like, or away if that's not what they like. They have low sensory tolerance and high sensory need. Areas that have a lot of nerve endings are going to be hypersensitive. And if they can't figure it out, they may react physically. So, how do we support our AMPers? Well, step-by-step guidance and help. Now, is that going to be with a lot of words? We've got to show, we've got to give a lot of visual demonstration. Hand under hand guidance after a few repetitions, and that might just be enough to kick things and get them going. Offer something to handle, manipulate, touch, gather in order to provide that sensory need. Limit talking, noise, touch, or other activities if we're noticing that that's not supportive in the moment. And substitution, not subtraction, or you'll get a reaction. So based on this role play and this information, who are the rubies in your world? Rubies, ambers in your world. And how can you use this, implement some of what you've seen and some of these strategies offered here in order to support your ambers?
So what's really interesting is on some of the chat I'm picking up on is people are recognizing, unless you know your gems just like this, your PPA won't flow just like this. Because I've got to be able to pick up on my partner's cues incredibly quickly to be able to modify my behaviors to match so that it's seamless. That's our alarm that says it's 10. So you have about a half hour left. Or you can go pee if you need to. I don't know, We won't say anything about you. So let's take a few minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some approaches, and we'll pause after each approach long enough for you to generate what you think the gem is, the personality trait is, and the unmet need is. The gem, the personality trait, and the possible unmet need. Okay? Hey, listen. Hey, can you help me? Can you help me? Abby, what do you realize right now?
That you're needing attention and connection, and
You sat too long.
I sat too long. You're on me.
Yeah, and can you get up now?
Not without putting you in a
Okay,
precarious position.
So what is, and you too.
Right.
So what does it mean that I'm this close to you without recognizing boundary markers?
That you're not going to be picking up on any of other cues from me or any social aware, like what I would expect you to
And I want you
honor.
to notice how many times Abby, although she knows she shouldn't, her hand keeps going up to try to get my hand off her clothing.
Mhm.
And she knows better, but she feels threatened because I'm on top of her already. And her brain is saying, the primitive part of her brain is going, danger, 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 danger. And she knows not to. And so she's trying really hard not to, but she hasn't breathed deeply since I got here. Hi, Tifa. There you go. Let's try it again. So how often does that happen? Almost universally, guys, because what happens is you're waiting for them to give you a message, because that's what we do. We give verbal messages and then we wait, and it's like, yeah, but it's not happening. So as soon as I make eye contact, get ready, here I come. So you need to prepare yourself for the interaction with eye contact. When I make eye contact, be ready with your PPA, because I'm coming. Unless you get real lucky. Hey.
Good morning.
No, not a good morning. It's not a good morning. No, you got to get out and get out of here. Got to get out of here.
To go out?
Yeah, get out. You got to get out of all of it. This has got to go.
So we need to get moving?
Yeah.
Yes, all right. Let's
Okay.
So we can
So
do
guys, how did that feel?
like you aren't gonna climb on me.
Okay. on a scale of okay to awful to fantastic, where were you?
About a 7.
Okay.
Pretty good. Like it.
Did you feel safe?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel like you weren't totally out of control?
Yeah.
What parts did you feel safe about?
I felt safe about having
Physically?
yes,
Mhm.
and I had your attention.
You had eye
and we were
contact. And the
having a moment together.
We were having a moment together, but then what was going on?
Well, then you were really worried and upset, and you were
Okay, so I was
ramping
up
up.
really
Mhm.
high, and you so wanted me to what?
calm down.
Calm down.
Let me fix it for you.
Yeah, you were trying to use your voice and your body to get me to calm down rather than be willing to acknowledge my level of distress. So right off the top, what gem level do you think I was more than likely portraying? Think about the words I used, the focus I had, the physical skills I showed you, the visual range I was showing you, and the ability to process that I was showing you in that moment. What you thinking? What are your 2 options that you're most thinking? Give me 2. Let's do an either or as a starter. Somebody says Amber, Emerald. Somebody thinks Ruby. Now, let's think on Ruby. I'm going to pull Ruby up as a start. Do rubies have a lot of language? That's a yes, no question. I know that, but do they no. Put it. When a ruby is that level of distress, what you're going to hear is more about malaria or repetitive phrasing or they have a hard time initiating the line of speech when stress level gets high. Probably not a ruby. Also, the motor skills, probably not so much.
We were just having a hard time hearing you there. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I wonder why. All right. Sorry. Is that better? Okay. What about an amber? What is the amber going to be totally focused on? What kind of skills and abilities? Touching. So was I doing a lot of touching cues, or was I more using vocal cues? Was I speaking? Was I trying to communicate verbally and visually, or more through touch and intensity that way? More verbally, a little more verbally. Was it an effective message? Was I being specific about it? These were sort of, I gotta go. We've got to get no, it's not a good morning. So I heard her words, and she was doing social chit chat, and my brain went, good morning. No, it's not. It's not. And so I didn't get the social context. She sent me a message. I heard that message. That's not true. And so my distress went up because she was trying to get me to think it was okay. And in my mind, was it okay? And had I already showed Abby it wasn't okay? And yet she was doing the social thing, thinking maybe she could distract me into social. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes we make with emeralds, is that we think if we're nice, emeralds will be okay because they have social chit chat when they're not distressed. But when they become distressed, it's not social chit chat, it's their only form of communication. And so, no, you got to get out, get it out. We've got to go. I got to go home. No, you're not lit. And so what you'll get is a lot of pushback to any kind of effort to socially chit chat me or to chat me down in a way that is, I can't go there where you're going. So one of the hardest things for us to do is to be willing to be right under where they are. You've got to be willing to go all the way up to where they are and lift them up and then float them down. So whatever emotional state an emerald is showing you, you have to give them that support so they can let go of their feeling of being all there by themselves and nobody understands how upset they are, so that they can follow you down as you gradually shift the gears. But you can't go from running full throttle to a full stop without going through third gear, second gear, first gear, gear down, put the brakes on gradually. That's what we want to do. So we're going to try it now. Abby, can you be that level of distress? And then I'll do the calming behavior that we want to see. So you stand, I'll sit. All right. So Abby's going to approach me and we'll try it out. Hey, oh, no, we need to go. We need to go. Yes, we need to get out of here. Right. You've got things to do. That's why we need to go right now. You want to get home. You want to get home. Yes. You've got things to do. It's not about being here. No, you do not want to be here. No, you've got to go. You want to go out of here. Yes. You want to get going. You can't stay still. That's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because you need things. You've got to get these things done. This stuff, all of it, all of this kind of thing. These things need to get done. Now, if you're standing on the outside watching us, what are you thinking? What are you thinking as you're just watching the two of us? They're crazy. Good. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. What in the devil's going on here? What is wrong with Teepa? Because I have to join her to help her get more comfortable. And we have to work her down from the high stress level that she's at. She's walking on a tightrope. And the reason it's happening is that she's lost. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know who's going to help her. She's looking for anybody and somebody to do something about this, and she can't find comfort anywhere. And it has gone on to such a level that she is in a danger state right now. She is dangerous. She could just as easily put a chair through the window, try to climb through the window, try to get out the door, and it would not matter. It was the middle of the night. It wouldn't matter if there was a busy street out there. It wouldn't matter that she was going to be hit by a car. It wouldn't matter. It would make no difference to her because all she knows is she's got to escape the place she is. So that's the level of extreme distress she's in. Her ability to state and vocalize, the only thing she has is this increase in frequency, intensity, and volume. So I had to really, truly come up underneath her and get her to appreciate, I'm right there with you. This is horrible. You are stuck here. You don't belong here. And as I did that, her distress started to drop. You could hear it in her voice. You could see it in her body. And so what I had her over on is, and you might not have been able to see this, I have her over wiping surfaces, heavy, heavy work with her hands, because I want to give her proprioceptive and I want her to do a repetitive action. And as she does that, and she does the weight shift to her feet and the weight shift in her hands, what I'm doing is starting to calm the central system with a rhythmic movement and the rhythmic words, and the words will get softer and more controlled. So the challenge for us is when these folks are located within a larger community or in a family situation where the rest of the people in the environment don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's going to require us to recognize they will all go diamond when they hear this. What are you doing? You're making it worse. Quit yelling at her. So what we're going to have to do is figure out how to manage those around to meet their needs, because this behavior is so distressing. And so this is the most kind of common question for emeralds in the afternoon and in the evening. And when they have this, I don't want to be here kind of time, this is where people are like, well, what do I do? And it's like, you got to be willing to acknowledge for them, this is not their home. This is not where they want to be. This isn't meeting their needs. This is so wrong. I've got to fully connect, because if I can't fully connect with them, and I'll go fix it with other people later, but what they need to hear is listen to what I'm doing. I'm copying her words so she knows somebody heard her. And as somebody hears and perceives that level of distress, then she doesn't need to be as distressed anymore. And what's really critical, and I did it, and I'm not sure you picked up on it. I was here and I turned like this. That is the most important shift you make in this position. What was it? I'm here, and then we do this. You don't want to be here. You hate this place. You want to get out of here. So what's the shift? Do this. I am totally alongside you. I am so partnered with you. I do this. I'm not trying to pinch you. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm not trying to manipulate. I'm not trying to do that. I just simply want you to know you're not alone. And I want you to appreciate, no matter where we are, how scary it is, how awful it is, I am not deserting you. And I see things your way. And if I can see things your way, then you don't need to be so distressed because somebody's here with you. And it's one of the hardest things to help people get their head around, is that you can't get them distracted when they feel they're in that much danger. It is just simply not possible. Could I possibly take her out if I feel I can control the risk enough? So this is that idea. Now, what do you do? Somebody's saying, what do you do when somebody's in a wheelchair? You will often find yourself going along like this on the floor. Or what I can do is, you hate being here. Nothing about this makes any sense. And I am, and I don't know if you can see this. Let me come right over here to the screen. What I did is I put my elbow to the inside, and I am applying a lot of tension and pressure on Abby's shoulder and inside. She knows I'm not turned toward her. That would be real different if I do that. This is, we're in this together in the wheelchair. And so if the wheelchair's moving, and again, I'm on her preferred side, but she feels really connected to me. So you could even try that if you're with somebody. The trick is to bring your arm to the inside and squeeze and create tension. Because what they need to feel is, yeah, I'm powerful, I'm powerful. And then I can go, and because her brain gets tricked into following me, what happened to your muscles, Abby? Because
my body did what yours was doing.
So
we were there.
So what I did is I started with her in the lead, and then I took over the rhythm.
A lot of people are asking about what about the rest of the team, and are they going to add to the fire, and is it going to, you know, how do you get everybody, especially staff, but other residents to, you know, they're feeling like this isn't going to work because they're worried about what's going to happen with the rest of the team.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to sort of try to do what I have actually done in real life when I was in head injury, and I had somebody who was at this point of distress. And actually we were on the 3rd floor of the building. And he was a big, strong guy, and they had screens, and it was before they had screens that couldn't be broken out. And he was so committed to getting out of the building. He was trying to take the screen out, and the window opened far enough that he could have gone out head first through that window. So it was real risk. I mean, this was a real high risk situation. He varied between what we would now call amber and emerald. He was so confused. He so thought he needed to get home to his family. He so had a job at construction, which is what had caused his head injury. Yep, Corey?
We have someone that's saying that they believe you are the cause of their stress and there's no one else to refocus them.
Okay, so let's do that one second. Let's do this one, and then I'll do that one. So I had a team, the team was there. I was 5:30, I was trying to leave. I was an occupational therapist. I was just trying to get out of the building because I'm done, but you know, life happens. So the gentleman was saying, I'm getting out of here. And he was really getting high vocal. So the rest of the group was like, uh-oh, he's losing it. And of course, at least one or two people was, what does he have PRN and how are we going to get it in him? And people were getting ready to call team, which at that time was behavior team. And we would be 6 people and you would, in control, take someone down into physical restraint so that you could control them until they could control themselves. And he was in a common space, but the window was right nearby. And he was trying to get out, okay, with no safety awareness. So I'm going to show you sort of what I did that seemed to help people. So you're trying to do, let's turn the thing toward the window a little bit so you can sort of see. We'll set it up. Okay, so I'll use your name just because I'm something. All right, I'm going to try something. Abby, you want out of here. You're trying to get it. I'm trying to get here. Come on. We got to get out of here. Get out of here. We're getting out of here. I know. You guys are staying. We're getting out. Come on. We're going to get out of here. Come on. Come with me. Come on. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Excuse us. We're leaving. We're going out. We're going out. We'll come back. I'll be back. But we're going out. So what was the only big difference you saw that time that I did with the group before I intervened with Abby? Because I didn't have a lot of time. What did I do with the group?
You said, I'm going to try something.
I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something. I'm going to do this. So what I said to everybody is, stay still. I'm going to try something. And I let everybody know that. And I'm going to be back. It's going to be okay. But I'm going to try to get this person to a place of safety. And you guys are all okay. And how did that feel to you? Was that any different? Are we still going to need a debrief? Are we going to need to talk through all this and people need to share their emotions, their feelings, they're scared, they're this, well, what about this? What if this happened? Those are all good questions. But what we want to do is start recognizing, how do you think everybody's going to react when 6 people take somebody down? And then there they are walking in the hall. Then tomorrow they come by you and your brain is like, uh-oh, here comes the person that took 6 people to take down. I don't want him sitting at my table. You don't bring him over here. Listen, he's not safe. So what happens is everybody in the community starts to view him as the social problem. And he starts to get more and more isolated, which is just reinforcing everything he already believes, that he doesn't belong there. It's not his place. People become more scared of him because they saw 6 people take him down. They saw the whole group converge on him. And it took everybody to control this, because when 6 people got really close, guess what his brain said? They're here to kill me. I've got to fight for my life. So there's this idea of, I need to take that second that I have, and then at the end, guess what I'm going to need to do a lot of? And talking through what happened for me, because I am very likely not going to be highly accurate on how well or how poorly I perform, because I'm just trying to get through the moment without anybody getting hurt. And trying to calm the session down, realizing that I've got to go up to come down. I can't come down steps until we get to the top. I've got to just figure that out. And it's one of the hardest things to help people with.
Hey, it's Jess again. Oh, wow. Not being willing to match a person in their distress, but instead really wanting them to calm down, or coming in bright and sunny in order to try to get them to shift. Ooh, that can be one of those ways that Teepa mentioned, where our support, our attempt at support, can trigger a person's abilities in a direction that isn't helping them to shine, but instead decreasing some of their abilities. And so really being willing to come alongside that person, come up just underneath, and then move down with them. We can be upset and frustrated about this thing together. So being willing to be expressive and make sounds and gestures and repeat back all of the above and the words that they're using so that the person knows that we are absolutely partnered with them, truly on their side. This is a tough one. Now, something is really sad. How easy or difficult is it for us to match in empathy and in emotion? Can you start in a place that's a little more comfortable or an emotion that's a little more comfortable for matching? And work your way into slowly shifting into, some mirroring and matching that's a little more uncomfortable. Or are you willing to just hop in and give it a try? Be on their side, make sounds, and see how that goes. Figure out how you're going to use this, who you're going to practice with, and be watching to see, am I really able to shift somebody when I do this? Or do I got to take a little bit of a look in the mirror and figure out, did I get on their side? Did I reflect back in a questioning way or in a supportive way? Was I actually giving that emotion back in my tone, or was I giving the words but still sounding calm or happy or an emotion that didn't match? Try this out. Try this out and see if being alongside someone and truly being partnered with them where they are, being present, not trying to fix it right away, but just being present with them in their emotion and in their feeling. See if that really does release their need to continue to be distressed when they are able to vent to somebody that is truly on their side. Good luck.